when I really got hot and heavy into developing toys was with Toy Biz, in the early in 2000 when I got there.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Collecting Brothers. I'm John, and this is Josh, and we got a special treat for you, all you friends out there. We got the creators behind Brutal Realm. They are a new toy line. They're trying to get started here over at Kickstarter, and we're just gonna have this nice little conversation with them. Get to hear from the creators of this new toy line, Brutal Realm. So we have here Vonner.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening?
And we got our friend Jason as well.
What's happening, guys?
All right. Well, thank you. I do want to say thank you to both of you guys for not only reaching out, but also your willingness to come on here, come on to our little channel and give us this interview for Brutal Realm. And we'll have another friend, James, might be showing up a little bit later, so we'll see when he surprises us. But in the meantime,
no channel is little, brother. No channel.
Thank you, Vonner. Thank you. But yeah, thank you, Vonner and Jason, for being here. We just want to kind of talk about Brutal Realm. And also, you guys, I want to know more about you guys. What's your guys' kind of history with the toy industry? Are you just purely collectors? Kind of a bigger question. And also, like, what's your like main inspiration as to why you wanted to make Brutal Realm?
Go ahead, Jason.
All right. So I'm Jason Soul. I'm a co-founder of Realm Toys with James Harkness. He's the mind, the creator, the visionary, the storyteller behind Realm Toys. I help him a lot with like character names, character creation, story creation as well. And my background is I've been a collector since I was 5. And I know it's such a young age, but I mean, I knew then I loved just the love of toys. And it started at the 1/18 scale, and then it became, the 1/12 scale and 1/18 scale. And just lately, I did a little bit of collecting and kit bashing of the 1/6 scale.
Oh,
Yeah, just a little bit. And it is kind of interesting. You can find so much for 1/6 scale figures that you want to collect. I mean, some pieces like head sculpts are really expensive, but some others aren't. And the soft goods is really, I mean, you can find it anywhere. But yeah, so it was interesting, and I was like, well, okay, I'm like diving into a whole other rabbit hole, so I'm just gonna stop with the 1/6 scale for now.
I hear that.
Yeah, and the 1/18 scale, I still collect. I mean, I collect Acid Rain. I love the stylized figures. I love the grungy ruggedness of those figures, and of course, it's like very militaristic, and I was a Marine,
nice.
so I can relate to a lot of the weapons and the style they have. I mean, they even have their own Marines, which are really cool, and I have a lot of those. But so my inspiration started with a Marvel Legends, and it was a Hasbro Marvel Legends puck. I collected Toy Biz Marvel Legends. I collected all that, but I really got inspiration from the puck figure. I loved how
That was
little
my
he
puck
was.
figure, by the way.
Was it? Yeah, oh, hey James, there he is.
James, welcome.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was your puck figure.
Yeah, it was originally for Marvel Universe.
Man, I love that figure. I loved how small it was, but I loved that it was 1/12 scale because it just I was like, why can't we have dwarves like this? So then I got the idea, like, you know what? I can't do 3D modeling, so I'm gonna hire somebody, a 3D artist to do some to do some modeling and renders for me. And he did, and I'm kind of I don't like I initially I didn't like to critique how people do things, it was kind of a little hard for me to say, you know what, this needs to change, I need more detail, blah blah blah. And so I just like, all right, yeah, that's cool, I accepted it, I got it. He also 3D printed it and sent it to me, and it was it was cool that I had it in hand, but it needed so much work. And I showed it to James, and because we became, I followed him on Instagram, and he was following me, and I knew he loved action figures, and I knew he wanted to create his own line. And I showed him, and he's like, "Yeah," he goes, "Yeah, it's a good concept, it's a good idea, but let's do something else."
yeah.
And so I mean, months went by, maybe almost a year went by, and he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, are you still interested in doing an action figure line?" I was like, "Yeah, I do. I'm freaking all about it." I've always wanted, I mean, for the last 20 years, I wanted to create my own action figure line. I just couldn't figure out what it was going to be. But
Mhm.
that puck figure is like, I want dwarves. So so James was like, let's do
So does
barbarians.
Vonner.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's that. Thank you, James. Or sorry, thank you, Jason, for all that history there. And again, just want to throw it out there. I welcome James here. James, you're the creator, the mind, right? You're the one of.
Yes, yes. I'm co-creator with Jason, and Donner is definitely a part of this team and definitely lends some ideas as well. We're a great big team. It's
Love it.
not all. It's definitely not all me. It's some fans too. So
I love that you're being receptive to fans. It's always good. Uh,
love feedback and criticism.
Well, just wanted to say thank you to you for coming onto our show. We're just kind of discussing our history with collecting and what made you kind of want to start this new toy line. Thank you, Jason, for that. Vonner, do you want to hit us with your history and why you're here?
Well, my history with developing action figures goes all the way back, back into the 90s. But it's funny what James mentioned about listening to the fans, like the fans being part of it, almost like they're the 12th man, listening to criticism, because that's how Marvel grew. You know what I mean? With Stan's soapbox, Marvel wouldn't have been
Yeah.
Marvel without the opinion, and the criticisms of the fans. So,
Black costume Spider-Man.
right. So, with that, my history has always been like Marvel. I've always I grew up a comic book fan, and when I was a kid back in the 70s, like these new dolls and action figures were coming around. But by the 80s, with 3 3/4 inch GI Joe, it really changed the whole dynamic of not only just having the toy but collecting a toy, and
Okay.
then and also bridging the experiences. Like I used to take my GI Joes to school with me, because they could fit right in your pocket, right in your bag. And I wanted to have my stuff all the time with me because the story never ended. After I watched, then I wanted the story to continue. So with that, it was the comic books and it was the toys, and so that's always not only been my introduction and feeling and love, but something that I've always wanted to infuse, into the toy, the actual experience of it. So, when I really got hot and heavy into developing toys was with Toy Biz, in the early in 2000 when I got there. First started with Spencer Gifts back in 94, and then Shellcore Toys, infant school company, after that. But then at Toy Biz, that's when we really just changed the game. When I got there, Marvel was in bankruptcy and Marvel was just trying to find a way out. And the way out was basically having toys. Toys was the number one thing. Comics kind of sucked. Animation was kind of getting off the ground. Movies wasn't even a thing. So the toys was really the catapult to not only Toy Biz and the toys, but also what we know now is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
Yeah.
Vision Classic, like all the stuff, Mezco, Hasbro, Diamond, all that stuff, it all originated from us, at Toy Biz. So that's what I bring in those experiences, managing product, developing product, designing product. And now I love to help independent creators, not only infuse those experiences and knowledges so they can have a pristine offering, but also, sharing that journey along too, and these guys have been students of the game. They're not only just fans and creators, but they've been students of this, so what they've really applied to this action figure line is making it engineerily sound, awesomely sculpted, very, very detail painted, and to have a world where all of these guys intersect, and where it can grow, So that when I saw what they were doing, I approached them. I was
Oh wow.
I love what you're doing. I love what you're offering. I just saw
Yeah.
this person where it wanted to go, and also being a lover of Motu, but being so frustrated with Motu for
Yeah.
so years. And it's like was Brutal Realm is such a breath of fresh air, you know, of like, man, this is what Master Universe was supposed to be. But you know, and with that is just a everyday, just new experience with this line. So yeah, man, and these guys are really doing it. They're really well. So like, it's a really good experience, really fun experience, and some really really cool characters.
Yeah, no, thank you, Vonner. Thank you so much for all that. And it really does show in this line. I was taken aback by the level of articulation that you're able to fit on these big dudes. I mean, usually don't get that, right? You usually it kind of hinders the muscles, but you guys got it in there.
That's a lie they've been telling us. It has more mass, so there's more room for
More
articulation.
space for articulation.
I never understood that. And then they say that, and then they can't give female figures articulation because there's less space. So it's like, which one is it?
Right.
Well, I mean, use honestly is because, you know, a lot of what we consider collectibles and action figures are decided by committee. These guys are the committee, and that's the difference. You know what I mean? When you can actually control the development and you can make it consistent and push it through. You know, everywhere else is a death by paper cuts. No action figure starts off bad. None of them. They end up that way because it's just a trial of committee.
I like that. I like that. Like, they don't start bad; they just get that way because you have to make decisions here or cut back there. I get you.
Right.
I love that.
I mean, like, people make decisions on the line that have no idea who these characters are.
That's
exactly. True. And that's like the biggest thing, like with these kind of the big companies, which is why like I feel like me and a lot of other collectors have like shifted to like independent toy lines like you guys, like Mythic, like AWOC, and etc. Just because, like you guys said, you guys have control and you guys take the feedback from the fans. And it's like things don't get bad like they do in kind of the bigger companies we see, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing too is you get to build the lore yourselves. And that's one thing that I really like as well. It's getting to hear the stories directly and getting the characters from these stories that you get to potentially, you know, create yourself, you know, when you get them in hand.
Like we've all heard of barbarians, we've all heard of warriors, we've all heard of Native American, you know, heroes and everything, but to actually see it in this form, in this fashion, redefines barbarian, redefines like what a big, like when you look at these next to Motu or, you know, like Conan offering anything like that, you'll be like, man, why have I been wasting my money on this wimpy thing? You know, when the Brutal Realm figures is like, man, I mean, they're massive, they're stout, they're fully articulated, very posable, but also too, man, like that really cool lore that we all grew up on as part of world history is there, and that's the fun part because you can turn on its ear and make it very, very unique.
That's one thing special with Brutal is that you guys are pulling from history, you know, the world history, and you know, instead of just, you know, making it up completely, you know, fantasy, we're actually getting some representation in these figures, which I think for me personally goes a long ways. James, do you want to tell us why you're doing this and why we're talking to James here?
I'm doing this because I love to customize, and I can't afford to make all the custom figures that I want out of, you know, the more expensive like Mafex Dark Knight Returns Superman, because I love that style body, or Beast, which always goes more expensive once they sell them. So I thought, hey, you know, let's make our own big body, and also Masterverse. I wasn't happy with the articulation scheme on that, and I just thought I had an idea that could work for a toy line, and I know Jason did as well. So we came together and created this, and I always wanted an Ogun action figure. I was like, and I want an action figure from all the Orishas of the pantheon of Yoruba culture. There's so many. There's Shango, there's Osha, there's a lot more characters in the pantheon, and no one's doing any figures for them. Yeah. And that culture is not being represented. A whole bunch of cultures aren't being represented in action figure form. Jaguar gods, eagle gods, you know, you name it. Zulu warriors. There's Hindu gods that aren't really represented. And there's so many cultures with so many cool characters. Samoan, there's Samoan wrestlers there, but it's deeper than that.
Even to a degree, female figures. I mean, honestly, the most female figures you'll see in the line is probably WWE.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can take from each of those cultures and the mythology of each of those cultures, and you can really make it your own. And you can, like Vonner said, you can turn it on its ear and create your own unique story out of it. And that's what we've done with our characters, the mythic characters that we pulled from history.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure. And I think that also just opens it up to, like, I've heard you guys talk about this, potential other realms that you guys might get into, right?
Oh
yeah.
We've got so many ideas that we want to do. We can't help ourselves. Once this gets off the ground and gets funded, which it looks like we have a very good chance of being funded. Our numbers aren't accurate what they really are on our Kickstarter, so everyone should be excited that as especially if they fund now. Everyone who's interested in Brutal Realm, go out and back us right now, because there's always people that want, like, oh, I missed the end of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Do it now. You won't be charged until the end. And if you can't pay at the end in 2 weeks or so, go ahead and go on BBTS. Those numbers are going to update. We're going to get the final numbers from that at the end. So there'll be a big bump. And if everyone funds now, hopefully we hit these other tiers. So, but where was I going with this? Yeah, other realms. Yeah, when this goes off, we've got other figures, not just on this body, but other bodies we want to create and just show how much value we can give people for this hobby that we all love. So if people like the value that we're giving with these figures, just imagine what we do in other realms. So
love it. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Hey, thank you for the great review you did right off the jump when we first launched. That was what made me think about you guys and want to do this, because it was very insightful with the very little bit of information I had on the initial Kickstarter. You were very smart in how you understood everything, and you helped me based on how you guys looked into it, make our Kickstarter a lot more approachable for people. So I really appreciate you guys for doing that, because of you guys, our Kickstarter makes more sense now and is more user friendly. So I appreciate both of you.
No problem. Thanks. All right, Jason Vonner, anything else?
No, man. Listen, man. The guys covered it. Just back it. Support Brutal Realm. Support independent creators.
Exactly.
The toy movement. I mean, there's more to come. And we're a tight community. I mean, we are a tight community. We support each other. So let's keep that trend going.
And let's get brutal.
Let's get brutal.
Let's get brutal.
All right. Well, thank you, friends, for tuning in to this Brutal Realm creator interview. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe for any future videos as well. And as always, friends, keep collecting, keep playing, and may the action figure gods smile upon you. Peace.